passionate, driven, enthusiastic, euphoric. This is who we are as entrepreneurs. But how we leverage these incredible attributes to dream and build businesses that scale and grow is what this podcast is all about. Hello, I'm attorneypreneur Josh Brown, and welcome to Franchise Euphoria. Hello, welcome to another episode of Franchise Euphoria. I am thrilled today to have Kevin Ortner on the show. Kevin is the CEO of Renters Warehouse, a real estate property management company that recently franchised its business. Kevin owns 4 Renters Warehouse franchises himself and was one of the original franchisees in the company. Renters Warehouse was named the largest and fastest growing property management company in Minnesota by Inc. magazine, and also they are ranked number 3 in the nation. Today, we're going to speak to Kevin specifically about the overall franchise experience, both as a franchisor and a franchisee, and how to grow and prosper from both perspectives. We're going to focus on real estate franchises and this unique business model and the challenges and opportunities that exist within this market. Hello, Kevin, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Looking forward to talking with you today.
Well, I'll tell you, just at the outset, you got some big shoes to fill. As you know, I previously had Brenton on the show, who founded Renters Warehouse. I believe he was the sole founder.
He was the sole founder. Yes, that's right.
And he really delivered the goods. So I've got high expectations for you.
Well, I hope I can meet those expectations for you.
I'm sure you can. So let's just dive right in and start. How did you get involved in Renters Warehouse?
I like to tell people I kind of stumbled into it, so to speak. I actually used to be a corporate pilot in a previous life and flew corporate jets around, but I've always been a hobby real estate investor and real estate enthusiast. And even with my previous job as a pilot, I had a lot of extra time on my hands, so I was investing in real estate, got my real estate license, all those kind of things. And my brother ended up working with Brenton in Minneapolis right as he opened Renters Warehouse. And basically came to me one day and said, "Hey, you need to meet this guy. You guys are pretty similar minded. I know you're looking to do things like this." And he wants to franchise his business. So I ended up meeting with Brenton 6 years ago or so, probably. And he told me his vision for the business, what he's looking to do. And we ended up connecting and opening our first office together in Phoenix.
So now, when you were a corporate pilot, so were you flying around executives, or are you talking about just a commercial airline pilot?
No, I was flying around executives. So I was flying business jets, for executive folk around the country.
Well, we've got to take a little side swipe here. And so, what was that like? How was that?
That was that was a tough job to get out of and give up, of course, because it was fantastic. And actually, I like to joke that one of the best things that ever happened to me was I got laid off from that position back in the recession. As that's just not a job you give up. I grew up around airplanes, flying airplanes, got my pilot's license when I was 16 years old, and never planned to be a pilot professionally. Ended up going to college at Arizona State University, and my roommate was in the aviation program. And I hadn't decided what I was going to major in yet, but thought, geez, what better to do than fly around all day? That sounds pretty exciting. So got my flight instructor ratings, started teaching people to fly through college, kind of fell into it, but what a great job. It was a lot of fun, flew to all sorts of great destinations. And the neat thing is, as a corporate pilot, oftentimes you're sitting at a destination with the folks you flew out there for, 2, 3, 4 days a week, maybe. So it's kind of like a perpetual vacation all the time, and just checking out new places. It was a really neat experience.
Well, so do you still fly at all?
Like once a year, maybe. Really not much. I wish I flew more, but it ends up just even go fly around for fun, getting out to the airport, getting the airplane pre-flight and doing a flight. It's kind of like a half-day deal, and owning a business, as you know, takes up a lot of time, as well as I've got a couple kids at home, so I just don't get out as much as I'd like to.
Now, you were saying when you flew, you sort of dabbled in real estate a little bit. Can you expound on that a little?
Sure. My father, myself, and my brother just started buying rental properties. And so we had a couple of rental properties in Phoenix where I was, some in Minneapolis where my brother and my dad were. And those kind of things, buying rental properties. And at that point, we were just taking care of them ourselves. We only had a couple. And also, I got my real estate license. I was in the mortgage business briefly, but not very long. That wasn't my calling. But so just always kind of involved in different aspects of real estate, mainly investment real estate and residential rental properties.
Well, and so you meet Brenton and you buy into his vision, and I can tell you from speaking with him, and for anybody listening who hadn't heard that episode, I can't remember which one it was, but it was definitely several back. But just look for the interview with Brenton Haywood, and it was a great interview. I can tell you he's a charismatic guy, and so I can imagine how he could sell you on a vision, sell you on the idea of where it's going. And when he did you come right in and start working with the company, or did you immediately become a franchisee?
I became a business partner of his, actually, because he wasn't yet able to franchise, and he wanted to see if his model would work elsewhere around the country. He started his first office in Minneapolis, our corporate headquarters, about 2007. And we met year and a half later in 2008, end of 2008, beginning of 2009. And I was living in Phoenix. And he said, the Phoenix real estate market couldn't be any different or any further different from what's going on in Minneapolis. So let's see if I can make my model work elsewhere around the country. And if we can make it success, I want to maybe look into franchising. So him and I went into business together and opened a branch in Phoenix with my current business partner that we have, who owns the Renters Warehouse in Arizona with me. And we did that. And about 2 years later, once he became a franchisable business, we bought him out and became his first franchise.
See, that's fascinating to me. And there's a lot of listeners to the show that have businesses that they've had some success with, and they're considering growth options like franchising. Take us back to those days when you guys, you partnered with Brenton, you're starting to build something. What's the thought process that you went through before franchising?
Really, I think what we just struggled with or thought about or discovered was, I'm sure, what a lot of folks do when they're trying to decide how to expand their businesses. Do you do it corporately throughout, and buy, open new territories corporately that are going to work really well, which is very capital intensive, expensive, and time consuming? Or do you, leverage your brand and model through the franchise model and get other entrepreneurs on board and help grow your brand that way? And that was just really something Brenton had always wanted to do. He believed strongly in the franchise model. So I don't think a lot of decision really had to go behind it. Really, we wanted to make sure we could prove the model, make sure it would work, and have a great product to sell. And so that couple of years is really just dialing in everything and making sure we had the processes that we could share with other people that bought into the model. But overall, I think the franchise model of growth is fantastic in the way that you can really grow much faster on a nationwide model than if you're just trying to, grow corporately and use your own capital to expand across the country.
Now, was the real tipping point for you after you guys had set up the company in both Arizona and Minnesota? In other words, you've tested out 2 markets now, you've experienced some success, and now you say, okay, we can really do this thing. Because I don't know if you agree with this or not, Kevin, but when I counsel people and they talk to me about wanting to go through the franchise model, a lot of times they only have one location. If they're a brick and mortar or if they're a business with, it's location based. And I always tell them to open up a second location and see how that goes before they consider the franchise model. I wonder what you think about that.
I think that's very good advice. Not only from the ability to help you sell franchises down the road, I think it's real tough as a prospective franchisee looking at a new business. Now, granted, any new franchise system is a little bit harder to sell than an established one, of course, but if you only have one location, there's so many more ifs and what about this and what about that and can it work somewhere else? And I think there's a lot of people out there who may have the perception that one location maybe just got lucky. Maybe that's all that the industry needs or this area may need for that type of business, as well as the fact that oftentimes I think as entrepreneurs, if you start a business and you're starting to see success, you don't really remember exactly what you did from day one until today where you've been successful and how did I get here? And it's important to go and do it again and document it and try and remember that process on what made us successful from when we opened the doors in a new location in a new territory that we had zero business till today. how did we get there? Because really, at the end of the day, that's what franchising is, right? You're going to allow someone not to have to reinvent the wheel to open their business, and you're be able to guide them along the process of picking out their site location to a build out if it's needed in an office place, to advertising and gaining clients in a new territory, and re-experiencing all that for yourself, I think is important as a franchisor.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you said something key in that last response, and that is documenting the processes. I know that as I work with business owners, it's really something that's often overlooked. I think a lot of people, as they look and expand their business, they think about the legal regulations. They think about, big picture, how they're going to overcome certain things, and the distance between the central ops or the central operations and these businesses that they're opening in different geographic locations. But a lot of people overlook, mistakenly, how important it is that you've got to have that operations manual in place. You've got to have everything that you do, everything that's in your entrepreneurial brain has to be down on paper. And it's not to say that it's going to be locked there in stone. No, certainly it's going to change. I mean, systems grow and mature and become better and more efficient. But talk to us a little bit about that process that you went through with Brenton in actually documenting your systems.
You hit the nail on the head in the fact that I think process, at the end of the day, process is your product, right? That's what you're selling. So all those things you mentioned of legal compliance and how am I going to support franchisees nationwide when they're so far away from me, and how do I sell them, and all these things that go into looking at franchising your business. You don't need any of that if you don't have the process to sell. So it starts with the process. And that's something we had to realize, not necessarily the hard way, but maybe a little bit late in the game, is we really need to get this stuff down and figure out our operations manual. And really what we did is sat down and said, what's our core business? What do we do? In our case, we're a property management company. So we lease single family homes and we manage single family homes on a daily basis. So what are our core processes? Let's start with documenting that first. And we tried to find our 10 core processes, from how exactly is it, how are we successful at leasing homes, and how are we successful at managing them? What goes into that, from maintenance coordination to rent collection to our advertising and all those kind of things. We got our management team together and our leaders in our business and said, what is it that we do? Let's pick those processes out and get them documented down. And even if it's a short form documentation to start, outline form, let's get something going. And like you said, it's not set in stone. They may always be evolving, but at the end of the day, you have somewhere to reference and something to grow upon. And so really, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of starting. It's picking exactly what it is you do. What's your core business? What are those core processes? And just start documenting them. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're selling. You're selling those processes and experience as a franchisor. And as a prospective franchisee, that's obviously something that people look for and need.
Now, how is it that Renters Warehouse as a property management company is different than other residential property management companies? I mean, I love Renters Warehouse model, but I'd love for you to take a minute to kind of explain what it is you guys do and how you're different from other property management companies.
Sure. I think what our biggest difference is we treat this business like a business. And what do I mean by that is, so many property management companies around the country, and there's probably several great ones in every state, in every territory. But property management for years and forever, since it's been around, has kind of been a mom and pop kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we wanted to take it and make it a different look, different feel, and really turn it into a business. And so many folks in property management, it's their job, it's their hobby, it's what they do every day. We wanted to turn it into where it's not necessarily our job, it's not our job, it's our career. And we wanted to build a business out of it. So we took it in, instead of just saying we manage properties, we came to work every day and said, we're building a business. And I think there's a big difference in the fact that we went about it, instead of just saying, how can we manage 100 properties today, or 200 properties, 300 properties a day? It was, what do we need in our business? And we started making departments, and we started growing managers and organizational structure. So much so that, 3 years ago, I don't know that I've done anything in property management in the past 2 or 3 years. Is now I run a business, and there's not a lot of leaders of property management firms around the country that can say, well, no, I don't really do property management anymore. Of course I do property management, it's my job, but from a day-to-day operation standpoint, from what I do now and what Brenton still does a little bit and used to do much more, is we're just doing business things. We're doing HR. We're hiring people. We're building departments. We're innovating new products. We're working on new marketing things and helping grow this business nationwide. And in my markets, where I own franchises from Phoenix and Tucson and Denver, Colorado, it's the same thing. We're trying to grow a business. Our product just happens to be property management. And so I think that's the big distinction of what makes us different, is we're able to go from what a lot of times used to be a small job or portfolio management hobby for a lot of people. And a big property manager had 200, 300, 400 properties that they managed, to we're going to teach our franchisees how to grow a business and something that you can walk away from one day and it's still running, it's still operating, and allow you to continue to grow wealth in your life and financial stability and financial security. And that's something that actually we sell as part of the Renters Warehouse. We don't just teach you how to manage properties, but we teach you how to build a business that is going to be stable enough that if you ever want to walk away from it, retire, turn it over to somebody else, it's still going to be there. And I think we're one of the few business models that does that.
Well, that sounds fantastic, and I want to dive in here in a minute into the franchisee experience. But first, where are you actually located? Are you in Arizona? Are you in Minnesota?
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at our corporate headquarters. And I just happen to be part owner in our Phoenix, Arizona operation, our Tucson, Arizona operation, our Denver, Colorado operation.
Yeah, and I believe you've had some real good success in Arizona. I think you guys have grown that franchise or those franchises to what, over 1,000 properties now?
Yeah, we manage about 1,300 homes in Phoenix now. We've been in business just over 5 years, so it's been fantastic growth and really following the same trajectory as our corporate headquarters here in Minneapolis. Just great success there in Phoenix.
Now, is your partner, I imagine, dealing mostly with the day-to-day operations of that business since you're in Minnesota?
He is, yeah. That's kind of, a lot of people get confused by that. Well, how does that work? How do you do that? But in today's day and age with technology, just like today's call and interview, you can be anywhere in the country with it. With a matter of a phone call, a Skype chat, and technology allows me to do so many things. So a lot of what I do for my franchise around the country is some business development, marketing, advertising, a lot of the accounting and back-end business side of things. And I've got great business partners on the ground that kind of handle the day-to-day and more of the employee relations and face-to-face sales and things like that. So it ends up working pretty well.
So tell me what it's like to be both the franchisee and the CEO of the overall franchise system. What's that been like for you?
It gives me a unique perspective on, of course, a lot of different things, and probably an upper hand on making sure that I can be very successful in my markets, and the fact that I've been around this business since nearly day one and helped create a lot of the process that's in place. And so it's easy for me to transition that to there. And I think it gives our business an advantage overall. Our business, meaning the Renters Warehouse franchise system, just because there's kind of always this perspective of a franchisee in the room. I don't do a lot of the day-to-day running of our franchise brand. We have a president named Ron Wright who handles that for us, but he's always coming to me and saying, hey, how can we do this better? Or what do you think about this? And we want to do this, and what are franchisees going to think about this? And really, all of our franchisees have great representation in the room anytime we have discussions about things, because I can talk on it from a franchisor perspective and what resources we need to put into that and how we're going to support that too. What do the franchisees really need? What do we need on the ground? Where's the support lacking? Where are we doing fantastic? And so I think it just gives a unique perspective and really is something that makes our brand unique.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I really like it when I see brands that do it this way. I think it's from the franchisee perspective, if I were looking at the system, it would give me somewhat of a comfort level that you are actually experiencing the day-to-day aspects of what it's like as a franchisee. Sure. Even though you're not the operating partner per se, but you do have your money in the game, as they say.
Exactly. And I meet with I'm not the day-to-day operations guy. However, I'm very on the ground level with all those businesses and have a couple times a week conference calls and meetings with, whether it's just my partner or once a week religiously, hour and a half scheduled management meeting with everyone on the ground at those locations to know, hey, what's going on? What are our challenges? What are our opportunities? What's going well? What's going bad? How are we going to fix it? And so I really am very in tune with what's going on. And kind of going back to playing both roles, we thought a lot about, are people going to look at this as a good thing or it's a bad thing? And are they going to say, well, that's, what's the deal here? Is he successful only because he's with the corporate headquarters and with the franchise company, or what's going on? But at the end of the day, we've gotten lots of feedback, just like you had mentioned, of people really like it. I like to say, hey, I drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, right? Not only am I trying to pitch these things and sell them to people and help grow our brand nationwide, but I bought in so much so that I have locations all over the place. And again, it provides a unique perspective, but I also think it does give people the confidence to say, he knows what he's talking about and he believes in the product.
Are you a Shark Tank fan? Do you watch that show?
I love Shark Tank. Great show.
So I just, the new season just started, and I was watching it the other night, and it struck me some of them are fans of franchising, some of them aren't, but there's a lot of businesses that come on there with the hopes of franchising. And I was struck by, I forget what the company was called, but one of the companies that came on there, and the Sharks were really interested in the business. They thought, oh man, this is a great model. But they found out that the owners that started the business had actually already sold off all their interest in the business. And because of that, it completely turned off every single one of the Sharks. They were like, dude, if you don't believe in your own business enough to grow from where you already are and you've already sold off all your interests, what does that say to us? And I think there's something really significant about that.
I think so too. It sounds like the Sharks said it best. If you don't believe in where your business is going, which obviously you don't because you cashed out early, if you don't think it's going to be that next big thing, why is someone else? And so I think that, that kind of goes with what we're doing here. We all believe in what we're doing. And I think at the same token, once a founder leaves for good, or everyone who started the business is gone, not in every case, but oftentimes that same drive and spirit that got things going doesn't go on to the successors because they don't have the same passion about the product or the business. And so, especially when you're trying to grow quickly and grow fast and really continue to innovate, which is what it takes in today's world to be successful, those who start the business, if they're all the way out or they're all the way gone, it's very hard to pass it on to a successor, I think. And so I think that plays a lot into it as well.
So I'm sure you spend a lot of your days talking about, the franchise and what they bring to the table and how it can, be of a benefit to certain franchisees. But I want to know from your perspective, what are some of the things that you look for or Renters Warehouse looks for in a prospect franchisee?
That's a good question. We look for, it's hard to say. We don't have that set, criteria where, we met Bill today and he doesn't fill these 3 boxes. We look for that kind of the same way you look for when you do business deals with anyone else. Is you want to do business with people you like, of course, but you just kind of know. We want people, we can teach anyone to do property management. We can teach anyone to do this business. We've got great processes in place. It's not rocket science, but we're looking for folks who are hungry, and you can just see that drive to succeed. We're looking for true entrepreneurs, and we're looking for folks who want to be in the business for a certain amount of time. What I can tell you we're not looking for are people that come and talk to us and say, yeah, this looks fantastic. I'm going to put some money in. I'm going to hire an operations guy, get some people on the ground, and I'm going to be the money guy, but I don't want anything to do with the business. That doesn't excite us, though. Granted, you may have the money to make it successful, but in this business especially, because there's so many little weird things that go on, it's really important for us that our operators be in the business, be working in the business for the first 1, 2, 3 years before they really start to remove themselves to just maybe a supervisory role or a manager role or a business owner role, so that they can experience how it is that we do everything we do. How do we lease a house? How do we advertise a house? What's involved with the rent collection process? What are all these things? Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you successful, knowing what goes into it. And once you've done that role, you can hire for that role better. So one of the biggest things we look for are people who are going to say, yeah, sure, I've got the money to do this, but I actually want to be in it. I want to do it. And maybe I'm not going to do it forever. That's why I want to own a business. I want that freedom to not have to go to the office at a certain time. But, first couple of years of any business is the hardest. And it's important that you be involved in the business, and that's something we really look for.
Now, are most of your franchisees are they brick and mortar businesses, or some of them operating out of the house? Because it is more of a geographical territory breakdown. Or maybe you could dive into that a little bit, because I think some of the people listening who might be interested, I think would probably want to know, how do your territories break down? How do you break down a state and those kinds of things?
Sure. Territories are broke down by population size. So you essentially get different counties that'll make up a million person MSA population. And that's how we're breaking up our territories right now. And everyone is brick and mortar, but here's the unique thing about us is you don't need a big office. We require an office simply because it's good practice to make sure you're not just doing the side of your home. You're going to have clients coming and going every once in a while. But what I love about our business model is the fact of how scalable it is. Day one, when you start, you can use a virtual office or one of those executive suite offices, things like that. You don't need a lot of space, so it's affordable. And as you grow, you just grow your office size with it. It's not like opening a McDonald's where you need to have a store of a certain size, $200,000 worth of kitchen equipment, and 20 employees when you open your doors. You can open a Renters Warehouse with yourself in an office, and that's all you need. And as you grow and as you get listings and properties listed for rent, you can go out and start hiring agents and leasing agents that help you in the field, which are commission-based real estate agents. And as you grow your management portfolio and take people on where you're doing the monthly management and collecting rent and coordinating maintenance, all those things, you get to a certain point, you hire your first employee. So from that perspective, it's capital smart, the fact that you can use your money and capital in other things from advertising and other resources where you don't have to tie it down in a big building with a lot of equipment and a lot of staff out of the gate. And so while we do require an office, it doesn't need to be big. And I think that's one of the perks and benefits of this business model is how scalable it can be. You can start small and get as big as you'd like.
Now, are you helping? Do you guys provide a list, or how does somebody who buy this get in the game in their territory? I mean, it probably obviously helps if you're from a particular area and you have contacts in that area. But how does somebody then get in the game and start making the contacts that are necessary to start closing some of the deals?
Yeah, well, that's part of what we sell. That's part of our process. Sure, it helps if you've been in real estate or you know about real estate and you have contacts there to be able to get in and grow faster, but it's not required. One of the, we were talking about Renters Warehouse uniques earlier and what makes us different. I talked about building an organization and building a business and setting yourself up for the future. But the other big differentiator in what we do is we're expert marketers. We know how to market our product, and we teach our franchisees how to do that, from the way we use radio to advertise to clients to online SEO, pay-per-click, website optimization, all those things. We have in-house IT team, which many property management companies don't have. We just get it. We know how to market. And so we can tell you without a doubt, if you're in the right territory, which we're only selling the right territories, we can make you successful and bring the clients in the door as long as you're willing to put the work into it. So, getting started, getting clients, sure, that's always the hardest part. However, we've got that figured out. We know our systems and processes for that. And that's part of what you buy when you get a Renters Warehouse.
Well, and I love that you guys are engaged and invested in the online digital space and social media aspect, because I know I'm a big believer that sales and marketing are merging into one. From the perspective of, it always used to be that essentially, the sales were the ones that the salespeople were the ones who were going out and closing all the leads. But now we live in a world where, and I don't care what business you're in, I think the latest statistic I saw was that 70% of people make decisions before they even contact you. And they're finding out about you through online, through social media. They're doing their research. So they're coming to the table way more educated through the process. But what I also find amazingly is that in a lot of franchise systems, they're not realizing that yet. They're not providing their franchisees with the know-how and the tools and the setup to help them take advantage of that. And it sounds like you guys are.
We are. We are. We like to call ourselves innovative, not only with the products we offer, but how we run our business and stay up with the latest trends on social media and online presence and things like that. And again, we have an in-house IT staff. We have an in-house marketing staff with some wonderful marketing brands from around the country, not only to grow our franchise system, but to be there for our franchisees to help them market in their locations. And one of the things, we just had some folks come back from a seminar on marketing, And to your point, sales and marketing are being merged more and more together than they ever have before. And it's kind of like a dual role now for those people. And CMOs are having to figure out how to work closer with the sales team because there's always been that disconnect. So now there's that term being thrown around out there, smarketing. How does sales and marketing work together better? And we're always trying to figure that out and be ready to take that next hurdle. And also, we've embraced the fact that we know people are doing research online. And if you were to Google Renters Warehouse, you're going to see that we have more reviews nationwide, positive reviews online on all the sites from Google, Yahoo, Yelp, all those places than anybody else. And it's because we get it. We get that people are out there, and we encourage our customers to share their positive experiences with us online. And I think that's been very powerful in our ability to grow our markets quickly, as well as show franchisees, prospective franchisees, that we really have something unique to offer.
Well, listen, Kevin, it's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you. Great job, great information. Really, really intrigued by your brand and what you guys are doing, and look forward to following you and staying in touch. Before we go, though, can you just tell the listeners, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you, for them to find more information from you? And if you have any final thoughts, now's a great time to share them.
Sure. They can check out our main website at renterswarehouse.com. That's going to be a link to all of our franchisees around the country in regards to our property management, leasing services, our real estate side of the things. And for those interested in learning more about our franchise model as well, you can visit professionallandlords.com. It's professionallandlords.com. You can check us out there for more franchise information as well. And I guess last thoughts is, people who listen to the show are probably interested, obviously, in looking at franchising or are franchising. And for those looking into it and interested in it, it can be a great thing. Do your research, find something that fits your personality and suits what you're looking to do. By getting into the right franchise and finding a partner that can help you become successful is a wonderful thing, and it can lead to leaving a great legacy for your family, building wealth over time, and really giving you the freedom that you may want to have, and a great opportunity to start a business, work for yourself, but also not have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And Josh, as I'm sure you see all the time, franchising is a great way to go.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great way to go. There is a process, though, and I always try to tell people you can't short circuit the process, and you obviously clearly understand that. There's a process of due diligence. There's a type of person for particular franchises, as opposed to just plugging anybody into the mix. So I love what you guys are doing. I look forward again to following you guys' success, and thank you so much for your time today, Kevin.
Thank you for having me on, Josh. It was great talking with you.
All right, we will talk soon.
Bye.
Thanks for being with us today on the Franchise Euphoria podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go to iTunes and provide a review. Also, please remember that although Josh Brown is a licensed and practicing attorney, nothing contained in this podcast should be construed as legal advice, because it is not. The information contained in this podcast is general and educational in nature, and none of it should be relied upon as legal advice. That being said, if you have questions for Josh and would like to contact him, please email him at josh@franchiseeuphoria.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you tune in to our next weekly episode.